So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on an adventure I've been on for the last year, and talk a little bit about the lessons I learned along the way, about sort of a new perspective on what you might think volunteering is and engaging civically. So I've been riding the bus for 11 years in Madison, and I have always wanted to optimize that experience at the stop, right? It's Wisconsin, it's cold, there's snow. That's a tough experience, and I want to know where my bus is. And I want to know if, most importantly, if I've already missed it, right? So I can come up with other plans. And so I set out to solve this problem by building a mobile application that allows you to get real-time arrival estimates for any bus from anywhere in the city via text messaging. And so a year ago, I sat down on a Sunday afternoon and I made it happen. So I built that app. Now, I did this, this was a selfish endeavor. I did this for my own writing experience, right? And I was going to enter that app in a developer contest. But what happened was I got to the stop and I started to tell people about it. And I said, hey, if you checked out this app, it'll help you find your bus. And their eyes would light up. They're like, wait a minute, where did you find that? What's the number? How do you use it? And well, here it is. And that kind of surprised me. I didn't expect that going in. And so before I knew it, a lot of people were using it. And I got bug reports and feature requests. And people were asking me for new transit applications. And I'm not a transit guy. That's not really my thing. So what I decided to do was I created a sort of an abstraction over the work I'd started for the SMS app that enabled other developers to build on top of that and make other interfaces possible. So you can interact with the transit system via Google Chat. You can do it on the telephone. You can do it via email. And so a lot of very interesting applications started to be created. And perhaps one of the most interesting ones was this idea of a virtual bus stop. And so with some help from other people in town, we started to create these wall-mounted displays that show you arrival estimates for buses in the neighborhood. So you'll see this on a coffee house on the Near East Side, and there are some sprinkled around businesses around town as well. And it's very much like you might see at an airport or a train station. It just shows you sort of what to expect. When is that bus going to arrive at that stop around the corner? And this changed the way people rode the bus, right? They weren't waiting for the bus at the stop. They were hanging out with their friends a little bit longer. They had an extra cup of coffee. They stayed at work a little bit longer. It improved the experience of how they rode the bus. I love plotting things on maps, so I had to do this as well. It's another nice use case of the API. This is plotting all of the uses of SMS My Bus from around town and sort of the popular stops. So the statistics for a year aren't terribly impressive. I will say that I looked at it again this morning. I turned these slides in a week ago. There's now 3,500 requests, and there's 150 users. And I think the statistic that I failed to put on here, unfortunately, that is probably the most telling is it cost me, to run the service for a year, it cost me less than $100. Now that's impressive, right? I actually sat down on a Sunday afternoon and wrote some code, and then I spent $100, and for a year, I actually made the system better. Right? I made the Madison transit system better. And I'm just the guy that rides the bus. And so this changed this changed the way I thought about it. This completely changed my perspective. I'm just riding the bus, and I wanted the experience better, so I went out and did it. I never thought I could move the needle that way. And that is what sort of led me to my civic epiphany. I have some spare time. I have a little bit. I've got a family, but I have a little bit of spare time, and I can sprinkle on there some of my passion for building software products, and I can make it better. In hindsight, this is totally obvious, and maybe it's obvious to many of you, but I always thought I had this sort of, my professional craft was here, and I had my family time, and I had my volunteer bucket over there, and that was physical time, right? I was at the lunch line handing out pizza and milk to the kids, or I was picking up trash, and this completely changed, right? And this is a good thing, because handing out milk at the lunch line isn't a terribly fun thing to do. So now I've discovered a new way that I can actually volunteer. And so I want to walk through just a couple more examples really quick to give you a sense for how I've tried to hack my neighborhood. So I live on the Near West Side. There's a neighborhood-maintained ice rink, and the kids there's hundreds of kids, and they're growing like weeds. So the parents are constantly moving skates around just so they can get skates into their kids' feet, right? This turned out to be not terribly successful, but I wanted to improve that system. So I created a web service that allows parents to post their skates and easily exchange them with other parents. Mildly successful, but a fun exercise. I love exploring ideas with my kids, so we do this with some school projects. One of them is this sort of robot dad app. And if you're a dad and you have a kid in 2nd or 3rd grade, you get gold stars, but you also, on Thursday nights, you're reading spelling words. That's what you do as a dad. And so I tried to automate that. And so now the kids, sad. So the kids can actually practice their spelling on a phone. It was a terrible idea. But you know, they do it because it's different, actually. They actually enjoy it because it's a different way to study. So they still actually use it from time to time. The other idea is an idea my daughter actually came up with. It's called Fornook, and it's a simple idea. She wanted a place that her friends could all post the books they owned online and check them in and check them out with their friends so they weren't all running off to Borders and buying the same books. So there's a service, and they can swap books a little bit more efficiently, and then they can create conversations around the books that they're reading. So now, when I was a kid, my parents, they hacked their neighborhood quite a bit differently. They ran for school board, or they volunteered through the church, and that's not necessarily my style. And so it's a wonderful time to be a geek right now. We have wonderful open source solutions. We have cloud computing. We have all these wonderful mobile devices that we can carry around, right? It has never been a better time to be a geek. It truthfully hasn't. I mean, geeks are rock stars in the consumer web space, right? I mean, Mark Zuckerberg has a movie. The guy, he's a geek, right? And that's kind of what I am. I'm a geek. I love to hack. That's what I can do. And so now it is a great way for the geeks to be rock stars in the community. And I hope more of us start to recognize that possibility. Now, this message is much bigger than hacking software. It's way bigger, right? Because we all have our own passions and our own unique skill sets. I like to hack in software. I enjoy doing it. It's what I do in my profession, but I like doing it. There are people that like hacking protests with their violin, right? I want everybody here to think about what is their unique skill? What is their passion? How can they actually bring that passion into their community and add additive value? So think of volunteering in a whole new way. Now, these are very challenging fiscal times, obviously. We're getting services cut, and it's happening in our own budgets. It's happening in state and local budgets. And I don't think that there's ever been a better time for us to volunteer, right? We can all hack our neighborhoods and step up and backfill in the areas that are being cut. So, I mean, the transit system is actually a great example. They are struggling with their budget. And there's just a guy riding the bus, right? Then I can step up without too much cost and add additive value, right? I can incrementally improve the transit system without a lot of cost and without a lot of effort. And I think all of us have to sort of think about that during these challenging times and really sort of figure out where's our place? Where's the place that we can backfill in those services that are being cut? It could be in our schools, it could be in the arts, or it could, in my case, be the transit system. Now, when you set off on your civic hacking project, be careful. For whatever reason, we surround ourselves with people that challenge us, right? They think if you're going to dedicate time and resources to something that's not a traditional just hobby, it's my hobby, right? Or something that's getting me ahead at work, right? They like, why are you doing this? Just get away from those people, right? It really is, and you'll get challenged about what your long-term strategy is or what your business model might be, and you just need to run. That's not why we're doing this. Don't think big when you do this. Don't solve the world's problems. Don't do it. It takes a lot of money and resources, and that's not necessarily those aren't necessarily the biggest problems to solve. We have problems in our neighborhoods. We can optimize things in our own neighborhoods, and let's start there. We love Madison, right? And we love it. That's why we're here today. So now the truth is, though, what makes Madison so great is the people itself. And I just want everybody to realize that your sort of civic responsibilities don't necessarily end with jury duty. And it took me this adventure to sort of figure that out. But hopefully some of you can understand that there are lots of opportunities out there for us to engage in our community. And I challenge you to go do that. Let's make Madison a great place to live and to work and to play.